Yo, what is up everybody, it's Jet the Great here and welcome back to another Naruto reaction video here today. And today we have an all new video by the great Swagkage. And as you can tell the title, this is every Kage level Naruto character. Very intriguing topic, and I'm very intrigued to see what this video entails of in its entirety. Now I think it's important to preface this video by saying the term Kage doesn't necessarily mean that all Kage are built equally. Not all Kage are equivalent. In fact, I would say that the term Kage creates this wide spectrum of power levels, if you will. Now, clearly, Baranmo Naruto, who happened to defeat the greatest and most powerful villain we have ever seen that's at the top of the Otsutsuki hierarchy, is vastly superior to someone like Mei, who struggled to even deal with 5 Kage summoned Sasuke. The difference between those two is so vast that if you tried to put a numerical value to illuminate that gap, it would be an astronomical number that would probably take up anywhere from a page to several pages, to be quite honest with you. So, Kage level is an ambiguous term. There are respective weight classes amongst each of these rankings: Kage, Jonin, Genin, Shunin. If you want to be technical, Naruto was a Genin at the end of Shippuden. He was. Technically speaking, he was still a Genin, yet was the strongest single individual within a Shinobi Alliance at one point, once he got KCM2 stage mode and beyond. He was a Genin. Right, so think about it that way, right? So if you're new to the power scaling community, and you're new and you're very intrigued by the idea of analyzing and assessing the specific capabilities and potential of these individuals, then think about it that way. The minuscule details greatly matter. So I'm actually very intrigued, like I said, to see what this video entails of, to see where Swag goes with this video, because the title gives us some idea of what it's going to be about, but not necessarily, right? So I'm glad Swag is keeping it mysterious, keeps me intrigued, and I'm sure we're going to get a great video like we always do. But before I begin, and always greatly appreciate it, hit that like button, turn on bell notifications to stay updated with yours truly. And if you're new and you enjoy man and you mess with a kid, be sure to hit that sub button, because once you do, become part of the family forever. But let's not waste any more time, screen. Let's see what Swag says today.
So first of all, obviously every Kage is Kage level, which means by default this list
Pretty much
includes Hashirama, Tobirama, Hiruzen, Minato, Tsunade, Kakashi, Naruto, the first 3 Kazekage, Gaara's dad, Rasa.
Again though,
Gaara
they
himself,
greatly
the
vary
first
in
4
power
Raikage,
when
Darui,
comparing
the
some of
first
these guys.
Tsuchikage,
Remember that.
Mu, Onoki, Kuratsuchi, the first 3 Mizukage, Yagura, Mei, and Chojuro. Characters with similar power to any of the people listed here should also be Kage level, so to figure out who all that describes, I'll begin by compiling a list of characters who can be directly compared to any of the existing Kage.
Alright.
Madara was Hashirama's lifelong rival and regularly fought him during the Warring States period. When he was reanimated by Kabuto, he fought all 5 of the then present-day Kage and defeated them with ease. Then later, when he was properly brought back to life, he soundly beat both Hashirama and Tobirama. As the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, Obito fought the entire allied shinobi forces, including the first 4 Hokage at the same time. Before becoming the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails, he fought the 4th Hokage one-on-one, and even though he lost pretty badly, Minato recognized that Obito was very dangerous. At the 5 Kage summit, he saved Sasuke from Inoki without even being detected, and later easily reacted to an attack from the Raikage. After Guy opens the 8th gate, Madara says he's the best taijutsu user he's ever seen, and the strongest person he's ever fought before, which makes him stronger than Hashirama.
Yep.
Orochimaru assassinated Rasa, and while he didn't kill Hiruzen, he essentially forced him to kill himself to protect the village. He could also summon and command the first 2 Hokage with the reanimation jutsu, who, while weaker than they would be at full power, were described as fighting at Hokage level by spectators. Orochimaru is also generally considered to be relative in power to the other 2 Sannin, including Tsunade, the 5th Hokage. He was also a candidate to become the 4th Hokage, and it's implied the only reason he didn't get the position was because Hiruzen wasn't happy with the sort of person he was, not because he wasn't powerful enough.
Right.
Like Orochimaru, Jiraiya should be relative in power to Tsunade, and was also offered the position of Hokage on multiple occasions.
Correct.
With Yamato absorbed, Guru was able to make a wooden statue so dangerous that it forced Hiruzen and a bunch of other people accompanying him to stop in their
indicate
tracks.
that he's Kage level.
During the 4th Great Ninja War, Sakura's power is directly compared to Tsunade's, and it's said that it might even exceed it. I know I'm putting him right after Sakura, but no, it has nothing to do with the fact that he fought her, okay? The reason Sasori's here is because he assassinated the 3rd Kazekage.
Pretty much.
Deidara fought and captured Gaara, and even though he won the fight through less than honest means, he still displayed a level of relativity to Gaara before he decided to bomb the village.
Agreed.
Sasuke fought the Raikage
I mean, of course,
on
this
fairly
guy's
even terms and then
Kage
got
level at
stronger,
least, right?
Like, way
Sasuke.
stronger. I don't really want to include Boruto stuff in this video, but for the sake of convenience, I'll make an exception here and say that Sasuke is also considered Naruto's equal in the Boruto era.
Yep.
B's power is considered similar to the 4th Raikage's, and the two of them do actually fight at one point. Neither of them are using their full power here, but base to base, B straight up overpowers him. B's the last character who I think is certainly Kage level based on direct scaling to the other Kage, but there are some other characters I want to go over who are debatably Kage level through direct scaling as well. The characters included in this batch range from almost definitely Kage level to possibly Kage level, but probably not. They're not ordered based on likelihood or anything like that, so I'll provide my own opinion with each character here. Kakuzu fought Hashirama at some point in the past, but according to the 3rd data book, lost the fight and almost died trying to escape. This isn't really indicative of anything, and even though he fought Naruto and Kakashi, two future Kage, it's debatable whether or not they were actually Kage level at this point, and Kakashi said he could have beaten Kakuzu if he had used the Mangekyo Sharingan, then Naruto actually did beat Kakuzu pretty much by himself. I'll talk about Kakuzu some more later, and for now, I'll just conclude that
I want to add this to that. You can simply say this if you want to make a better rational assessment. We're talking about all the Kage that Swag has indicated. Would Kakuzu beat Mei? Let's be honest. Probably. Right? Mei's fodder. She's like at the very bottom of the barrel as far as Kage level. Probably. So he probably is Kage level. Again, the Kage level term creates this vast spectrum. We got Naruto at the top, who is possibly the strongest individual ever in Naruto history and Boruto history. And we got like bottom of the barrel like Mei and a couple other people. So just think about it that way. So he probably is Kage level. Low tier though, if you want to create weight classes for the respective level. Right, let's continue on though. Probably, right?
If he is Kage level, it's definitely not because of any first-hand interactions he has with any of the Kage. The same way Madara was Hashirama's rival during the Warring States period, Izuna was Tobirama's rival. The databook claims the two had equal power, though Tobirama did eventually kill Izuna, so the two may have only been close in power, not outright equals. The only reason I consider him debatably Kage level rather than outright definitely Kage level is because it's unknown how strong Tobirama was during the Warring States period.
Right.
He might not have been Kage level yet. Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's probably not true, but it's impossible to know for sure.
Yeah, good point.
Kinkaku and Ginkaku mostly get credit for two
course
things.
these guys.
First, nearly killing Tobirama
okay.
and potentially injuring the 2nd Raikage at a meeting between the two of them meant to establish a formal alliance between the Leaf and Cloud villages, and later actually killing Tobirama together with 18 other S-rank ninja. I don't think that these two things are particularly strong pieces of evidence though. First, it's unknown what, if anything, happened to the 2nd Raikage at the meeting between he and Tobirama, and even though it is impressive that Kinkaku and Ginkaku were able to come close to mortally wounding Tobirama, it's explicitly stated that they did this through a surprise attack, which means that Tobirama was off guard. Like I mentioned earlier, many people are also under the impression that they were part of the team that killed Tobirama, but I don't actually think they had anything to do with this.
Really?
Tobirama was killed by a group of ninja named the Kinkaku unit, but this doesn't actually mean that Kinkaku and Ginkaku were part of the team. It could have, for example, been a team created to track down and kill Kinkaku and
I might disagree. I think it's highly
which is fairly
implied.
likely since, as the
It's not
4th Raikage
concretely
says,
provable,
they're the
but I
worst
think
criminals in the Cloud Village's history.
implies
it would be weird for criminals who supposedly tried to assassinate the 2nd Raikage to be a part of the Cloud Village's military. And what makes it even more unlikely that they were part of the team that killed Tobirama is that they're under the impression that he's the one who revived them with the reanimation jutsu. The strongest piece of evidence that supports these two being Kage level is something the 4th Raikage says about them, or more specifically says about Kinkaku, which is, hurry, if Kinkaku is transformed, we won't be able to stop him. A could be wrong, but I think what's more likely than that, at least, is that he may not be talking about he and Tsunade fighting Kinkaku. He could be using we to refer to the Allied Shinobi forces, specifically the members of the Allied Shinobi forces who are currently fighting Kinkaku. Personally,
speculative, because by saying we, you could argue that he means even if I show up and help.
Likely, but I wouldn't blame anybody for being skeptical.
It's debatable. So
a lot of characters seem to be under the impression that Fugaku should have been the 4th Hokage instead of Minato, but most if not all of these characters are members of the Uchiha clan, so their point of view may be a bit biased. If I take the anime filler into consideration, I think it's a lot more likely that he's Kage level since he has the Mangekyo Sharingan there and claims that he can even control the Nine Tails, but other than that, I think that there's very little actual evidence that he was Kage level. Danzo being in the debatable section might seem weird since he was actually offered the position of Hokage, but it was only a temporary thing. He didn't have his face carved into the side of the mountain or anything like that, and Tsunade was supposed to take the position back from him as soon as she recovered from the injury she sustained during Pain's assault. If Danzo had actually become the 6th Hokage, I'd have no choice but to consider him Kage level, but because of the nature of his promotion, I don't know exactly how to categorize him. Based on his fight with Sasuke, I think Danzo is weaker than all of the other present-day Kage, even Mei, who most people consider to be the weakest of the 5. Her lava-style jutsu was at least considered dangerous by Madara. Meanwhile, Danzo couldn't do anything to Sasuke Susanoo. The best way I can articulate how I feel is to say if Danzo had actually become the 6th Hokage, there would be more characters on this list as a result of Kage level.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it implied that he was like the strongest Kage at that summit? Well, I might be wrong on that.
And had been present for the assassination of the 3rd Hokage,
or the strongest individual that could have been Kage at that summit.
Orochimaru wouldn't have lost his arms. There are multiple ways to interpret this, one way being that Kimimaro, without being weakened by a sickness, may have been around as strong as, if not stronger than, Hiruzen was. Obviously, that's not necessarily the case, but I'm not going to outright dismiss it.
Okay, that's fair.
Zabuza did plan on assassinating the Mizukage at some point, but he never actually did it. In fact, the entire reason he had to go rogue was because he tried to do it and failed. Maybe the fact that he thought he could kill the Mizukage is indicative of him being Kage level, but I doubt it.
It's debatable, right? Yeah, I agree.
Yugito was one of the Jinchuriki reanimated by Kabuto and made into one of Obito's 6 paths of pain. The 4th Mizukage, Yagura, was another one of them, and all 6 of the Jinchuriki seemed fairly close in power when they fought Naruto and Bee. It's hard to prove that she's actually as strong as Yagura using this fight, but if she is, she should be Kage level.
I agree.
Same thing as Yugito. Also the same thing as Yugito. Same thing as Yugito and the other Jinchuriki. Fu's the last of the 6 Jinchuriki that fought Naruto and Bee, and like them, she seems to be around as strong as Yagura.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Next, I'll be listing characters who are Kage level through indirect or second-hand scaling, characters who have shown that they're as strong as or stronger than characters who have already proven to be Kage level. Basically, if they're relative to or stronger than any of the characters I've already talked about or any of the characters I'm about to talk about, they'll show up in this section of the list. Like before, I'll start with characters who I think are definitely Kage level, and I'll get into debatable cases afterwards. According to
Sasuke, I mean, shit.
Than Madara,
this is not even debatable.
Displays that she's stronger than all 4 members of Team 7 and Obito.
Exactly.
When
I mean, this is not debatable
Naruto
either.
and Sasuke, he says Madara is
in my opinion, these people
power, implying he
are beyond that.
Reached it yet.
Kage and Hagoromo, even Naruto. I mean, he was a Hokage, but shit.
Even ignoring
he's in a whole different tier, to be honest, and Sasuke too.
6 paths speaks for itself. Hamura should be comparable in power to Hagoromo, and even if he's not, he did help create the moon and beat Kaguya, so, you know. Toneri seemed confident that he could survive the Earth and the Moon crashing into each other, and he was also able to fight Naruto, who fought a much stronger version of Sasuke than the one that fought the Raikage.
Right.
Pain killed Jiraiya and is almost definitely blatantly stronger than Deidara and Sasori.
Yes.
Hanzo slaughtered a whole platoon of Konoha ninja during the Second Great Ninja War and was so impressed that the only survivors, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Tsunade, didn't die that he dubbed them the Sannin. It's fair to argue that the Sannin may not have been in their prime here and may not have even been Kage level when this fight happened, but years later, when Jiraiya infiltrates the Hidden Rain village and finds out that Hanzo's dead, he can't believe it. He considers it impossible for anyone to kill Hanzo on their own.
That's a
I know this is weird,
statement
but
I bring on myself
just straight
a lot.
up beat Hanzo in a fight. He was so fast that Hanzo couldn't even weave seals against him, and when the two of them fought at some point in the past, Hanzo remarked that he couldn't make any mistakes while fighting Mifune. Again, I know it's weird, but this guy's just a monster, I guess.
Apparently, right?
It's said that in Sakumo's time, the Sannin paled in comparison to him, and he shouldn't have died too long before Orochimaru was considered a viable candidate for the 4th Hokage. Orochimaru openly admits Itachi's stronger than him in Part 1, and even though he says this after his arms have been sealed and he's become substantially weaker as a result, he also cites his inferiority to Itachi as the reason he left the Akatsuki. Orochimaru
he got his ass beat by him at 14, right? Itachi whipped his ass at 14 years old.
For the 4th Hokage, so even if I use the least charitable interpretation of this statement possible, Itachi should be well above Kage level based on this interaction.
Yes, he is.
After Kabuto revives him with the reanimation jutsu, Itachi shows that he's at least as strong as Sasuke, who at this point was way stronger than he was when he fought the Raikage. Deidara also seems to think Itachi's stronger than him, and this is practically confirmed when Obito reveals to Sasuke, who had already beaten Deidara in a one-on-one fight at this point, that Itachi could have won their fight if he'd actually been trying. Kisame beat Killer B and was able to fight and react to 7th Gate Guy, though it is possible to argue that these two examples don't prove he's Kage level. B spent most of the second half of his fight against Kisame focused on protecting two bystanders, and Kisame didn't actually beat Guy in their fight. Having said all that, at the beginning of his fight with B, Kisame was, while in base, able to clash with...
I think there's a great case for Kisame being Kage level, though. I think there's a great case for it.
To me.
Yep.
Kabuto revived and summoned an army of ninja, many of whom were themselves Kage level. Even without his summons, once he's entered Sage mode, the least charitable I can be to him is to say that he's at least vaguely relative in power, speed, ninjutsu skill, and genjutsu skill to the strongest version of Itachi ever shown to the audience. That takes care of all of the concretely Kage level characters that I'm aware of, so now I'll move on to less clear-cut cases. Again, from here on out I'm getting into debatable territory, and the characters I'm about to mention are anywhere from almost absolutely 100% definitely Kage level to probably not Kage level, but worth mentioning for the sake of being thorough.
Okay.
Ashura's never actually shown fighting anybody, but he is able to use the same three-headed, six-armed avatar that Naruto uses in his fight against Sasuke, and also he received all of Hagoromo's power, so he should probably have power that's at least somewhat comparable to his dad's. The manga doesn't make it clear if Indra and Ashura were still equals after Ashura received all of Hagoromo's power, but the manga and the databooks do imply that Indra naturally inherited a lot of Hagoromo's power anyway. Conan damaged Obito in their fight and immediately earned his respect for doing so. It's made pretty clear he wasn't going all out when this happened though, so it's difficult to extrapolate how strong she is from this. It is worth mentioning that with prep time she was able to turn an entire body of water into 600 billion paper bombs, which is very impressive, almost certainly a Kage level feat.
Yeah.
Hidan and Kakazu fought Yugito together, and later fought Kakashi, but Hidan didn't beat Kakashi, and the bulk of the fight with Yugito isn't shown. It's reasonable to assume that Hidan beat Yugito with his Jashin ritual based on the aftermath of the fight, and since that bypasses durability completely, and because in what is shown of the fight, Yugito is straight up beating Hidan and Kakazu, and because the two of them fought her together, and because she's only debatably Kage level to begin with, I don't think it's reasonable to claim that Hidan is Kage level based on any of this. The best argument in Hidan's favor is that most of the other members of the Akatsuki are Kage level, but he says himself that he's the weakest, so even this doesn't help him very much. I'll admit, maybe Kakazu shouldn't be in the debatable section, maybe I just hate him, but like Hidan, he doesn't have any direct lines of scaling to any characters who are definitely Kage level, and everything I said about Hidan's fight with Yugito applies to him too. As I mentioned earlier in the video, Kakashi thought he could have killed Kakazu with the Mangekyo Sharingan, and Naruto straight up blitzed him twice when they fought. Suigetsu was briefly able to contend with Killer Bee's 8 Tails transformation. He was also able to blow a hole in Guru Guru's head. With her chains, Karin was able to blow up Guru Guru's statue, but it's unclear if this was something she can do consistently. In this moment, she's definitely Kage level, but a lot of this strength seems to come from her desire to save Sasuke.
Yeah, it seemed like a mental amp.
Lee kicked Madara in half.
Yeah, this feat, man, this famous feat.
Naruto's 9 Tails chakra, so I don't know if it counts.
Right.
Tenten effortlessly destroyed some of Kakazu's hearts with the 6 pads tools left behind by Kinkaku and Ginkaku. Tenten's only in contention for Kage level when she's armed with these 6 pads tools,
of course.
Sai blitzed Deidara and Sasori, but he could have just been way stronger in this moment as a result of being really pissed off or something. If he is strong enough to do this regularly, then Sai is Kage level for sure, but this could just be an outlier. This guy is really weird. Aoba fought Kakazu in hand-to-hand...
Alright, before we get to Aoba, I want to talk about the war arc in general. Shout out to Aoba, he's a GOAT. The war arc has some very inconsistent feats, like Sai blitzing Sasori and Deidara, Kimimaro keeping up with Cassium with Naruto. There's some strange feats in there. Strange, bizarre power scaling establishing feats that are inconsistent, in my opinion. You know, I think it's very bizarre. I think it kind of messes up a lot of things, and also allows for very disingenuous claims, like saying that Minato is possibly superior to Jubidara or Might Guy or 8 Gates Might Guy because he was able to intercept the true seeking orbs and shit like that. Rock Lee is as fast as fucking, 8 Gates Might Guy with the 6 Gates because he was able to throw the kunai before Might Guy could, before Might Guy had any trouble with the true seeking orbs. There's just a lot of inconsistencies here. In my opinion, for the sake of convenient storytelling and for establishing lore and for a final product of amazing narrative story told. That's the way I look at it. It's very bizarre. The war arc is bizarre in terms of that. Rock Lee kicking Madara in half. It makes many aspects of many topics very contentious. It's truly bizarre. It's truly bizarre. But let's continue on. Shout out to Alba, by the way. Stud. W.
In combat for a minute, and Kabuto seemed to think his presence was worth mentioning. Also, he's in better shape than B after both of them have about the same amount of chakra absorbed from them by Kisame, so I don't know, man. Shisui might have been stronger than Fugaku, and his Mangekyo Genjutsu was really strong, but he doesn't actually have any Kage-level feats, just hype and statements. Okay, so Kankuro definitely isn't actually Kage level, but he has Sasori's puppet body, and some people assume that he's as strong as Sasori with it, so I think it's a stretch, but I figured I had to put him here. Chiyo regularly fought Hanzo in his prime, but it's unclear if she fought him one-on-one or as part of a team. She and Tsunade were also rivals during the Second Great Ninja War, and when she met
I think it's highly implied that
she
did,
Sakumo, the White Fang, she immediately tried to kill him with her bare hands without even using her puppets, implying she thought that even while holding back and even well past her prime, she was strong enough to kill him. Haku blitzed Kakashi during the Fourth Great Ninja War, and by this point Kakashi had been considered as a candidate for Tsunade's temporary Hokage replacement. Like a lot of other characters here, this could have been a mental amp thing, but it's not exactly an outlier since he did the same thing on the bridge in Part 1. He's also stronger than Zabuza, who, like I said, thought he could kill the Mizukage.
That was a much weaker Kakashi, though.
Kitsuchi, yeah, this guy. I know most of you probably don't remember him. Anyway, Kitsuchi trapped the Geto Mazo between massive earth structures and straight up boxed with Kinkaku. Nagato's not Yahiko was strong, I guess. He probably wasn't Kage level, but Hanzo did kill him using underhanded tactics, so maybe he really was secretly a monster, who knows. Anyway, that's everybody, at least that I can think of. If I forgot anyone, feel free to yell at me in the comments. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to. Don't worry about it if you don't. Thanks for watching the video all the way through to the
Great
end.
video, Swag. Very entertaining, actually.
Have a fantastic day. Swagkage out. Bye.
Peace. Wait, what was he going to say?
The Bluebird outro remix keeps getting copyright claimed randomly, so I'm just gonna avoid the headache with that. And
interesting. All right, I was just seeing what that was. All right, so to get my thoughts on this, I would have personally approached this kind of video differently, right? Because again, Kage level is a very ambiguous term, and there's a wide spectrum of Kage level individuals. Like I said, at the very top, we have people like Kage and Naruto during Boruto, who are individuals that shouldn't even belong on that level. They're so vastly superior to everybody else that they should be in a whole different level, Otsutsuki level or whatever. But the point is, I would have approached this differently, right? So think about it this way: we take the bottom of the barrel of the Kage, right, which is probably someone like Mei, and then we pit her up against someone like Deidara, right? Or we pit her up against someone like who Swag considered debatable to be Kage level, someone like Kinkaku and Ginkaku or Kakazu. I think it's highly possible that any of those guys beat Mei. Mei never had any impressive feats. Yeah, she's a Kage. Yes, that is the case. But she's the very bottom of the barrel. And if we look at it that way, there's a lot of people above her. Well, maybe not a lot, but there are a considerable amount of people above her. Considerable amount. So that's the way to look at it, right? Again, Kage level is a very wide spectrum, but I think Swag, for the sake of consistency and to keep it simple, he just kept it that way, right? And I think that wasn't a bad way to approach it either way. It's not a bad way at all. Some people that I think are highly likely Kage are people like Chiyo. I think it's highly indicative that she faced him one-on-one. I don't think Kishimoto meant to suggest that she had help when fighting Hanzo. I don't think that was the case. I think that would have been stated by Chiyo herself. Someone like Kisame, definitely Kage level, no doubt about it in my mind. Someone like Mifune, although fodder as far as relevancy, he clearly is very powerful, was able to beat Hanzo during the war arc. I think some inconsistencies that can be pointed out are Rock Lee kicking Madara. Another one that was just on top of my head, when Kakashi fought Zabuza and Haku, you can argue he was mentally nerfed because he had some sort of care for them at this point. He was emotionally attached to them in some way, shape, or form, especially after the Land of Waves conclusion. So I think that's why Haku was able to blitz him, right? And then if you want to argue, well, Haku did it well in Part 1, well, that was a much, much, much weaker Kakashi. A much weaker Kakashi. Kakashi can use a Mangekyo Sharingan optimally at this point, could spam Kamui and could spam lightning-based attacks at this point. He's in a much different level. So I don't think she's Kage level quite yet. And if you want to bring up light speed, I think she's only light speed within her respective mirrors. So she's limited, right? I think there's that as well. And I think her mental state greatly alters her ability. as well. So there's a lot of contentious aspects. And I'm not really nitpicking Swag's video. I'm just talking in general. I think Swag did a very good job with this video. And I think where he put these individuals at, whether it's like for sure Kage, highly likely, or debatable, I think he did a very good job here. A very, very good job. And I admire that he looked at all the angles here. Like someone like Ginko and Ginkaku. Technically, you can't prove that they were in that unit. It was called the Ginkaku unit, but you can't prove that they were in it. Fair enough. I think they were. I think it's highly indicated, but he's right. If you want to be very pedantic about it. And I admire that approach by him, is to keep it interesting, right? Swag is very good at making things interesting, mysterious, and leaving it up into interpretation. I think that's an important trait to have, an important tool to utilize in fictional-based reality. It allows for public discourse amongst fandoms, right? Specifically the Naruto fandom in this case. So I enjoy that about Swag. He always does that very well. And I think that's why he's so popular. So shout out to Swag. Great video, as always. Never disappointed. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Were there some people that were left out? Were there some people that shouldn't have been here? I'm very interested to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about the term Kage level? Do you have the same idea that I have? Is there individuals that are just too high for this level? Someone like Naruto or Kage? Let me know your thoughts on that as well. But that's going to wrap it up, folks, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is Jay the Great signing out. Peace.